Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from our IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our Lab Matrix Lab. This is the video number 44. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have still working with the test report findings concerning our primary domain controller. We have uh, some issues discovered by this test. Some of them are related to the Active Directory security. Some of them are related to the uh, performance or the functionality of the Active Directory. Some of them are related to some uh, steps we need to do to back up our Active Directory. For example, we need to take a backup of our Active Directory database. All of these are done by the testimony report. We have been working with the findings until we have reached this point, which is SMB protocols. Here, as it seems from the test, that there is a couple of settings concerning the SMB protocol. We all know that the SMB protocol, it is basically for sharing and accessing files through the network. Okay, so here he is focusing upon a couple of settings concerning the SMB protocol. I think they are related to the security. Okay, so most of these settings for the SMB protocol to fix some security issues. Okay, so we can avoid hacking or avoid malicious activity. Okay, so here we need to see how we can change this setting. Okay, and basically what we are focusing on the SMB protocol on our primary domain controller, because of course we have two folders shared on the primary domain controller, which is the sysvol folder and the netlogin folder. So they are shared and accessed through the SMB protocol. So we need to secure the accessing for these two shared folders by clients and servers through securing the SMB protocol and tweak the configuration of the SMB protocol, or the SMB configuration or setting of the SMB. So we can see here he is checking a couple of settings concerning the SMB protocol. Some of them are red, which means that we need to change the value of these items, and some of them are green, which means that we are in line with the recommendations of the test. Okay, so first of all we need to know what are these settings. Okay, so this seems some of them from their name you can know what they are talking about. For example, auto disconnect timeout, this appears to be when the server will disconnect you as a client uh, uh, from the connection that you are having on a file. So for example, you are accessing a file on the file server or on the domain controller. You should have some time, maximum I think 15 minutes. If you didn't do any activity on the file that you are accessing, it will disconnect you from the server. Okay, or disconnect the connection between you as a client and the file on the file server or the domain controller. So we need to see each one of these settings. What does it do exactly, and what is the recommended setting for each one of them? Okay, by the way, when I check the recommended setting, all of these are already uh, done by Microsoft. So by default you will see all of the settings are applied, but only one you should focus, which is Acronos credits. Maybe this is not in line, or Microsoft didn't put the recommended value by default, so I need to change it anyway. So we need to know first what are these settings, what they do exactly. So we will ask Perplexity to give us the exact technical terminology concerning these settings, and then we can ask ChatGPT 4o and Claude to simplify the answer, so we can comprehend or understand more what are these settings and what they do exactly. So if we go to Perplexity and ask it how to configure or change this setting, as I explain each one of them, these are, so I'm just clarifying to him, these are settings for the SMB protocol. So if you go there and try to see the answer, let's ask uh, our let's go further and ask to read this answer out loudly. So we can go and then do like this and then ask to read it loudly.
To configure the SMB server message block protocol settings you mentioned, you will need to modify the Pro. How to configure or change these settings and explain each one of them. These are for SMB protocols: asynchronous credits equals 64, auto disconnect timeout equals 15, cached open limit equals 10, durable new thread, control, home, answer. To configure the SMB server message block protocol settings you mentioned, you will need to modify the Windows registry or use PowerShell commands. Below is an explanation of each setting along with how to change them. SMB protocol settings. Asynchronous credits. Description. This setting determines the number of asynchronous credits available for SMB operations. Credits are used to manage the flow of data between the client and server, allowing multiple requests to be processed concurrently. Default value, 64. Configuration, PowerShell. Set SMB server configuration, asynchronous credits 64. Registry, modify the value at hklm/system/ current control set /services /lam server /parameters /asynchronous credits. Auto disconnect timeout. Description. This setting defines the timeout period in minutes, after which an idle connection is automatically disconnected. It helps free up resources on the server. Default value, 15 minutes. Configuration, PowerShell. Set SMB server configuration auto disconnect timeout 15. Registry, modify the value at hklm/system/ current control set /services /lam server /parameters /auto disconnect timeout. Cached open limit. Description. This parameter specifies the maximum number of cached open handles for files. It can improve performance by reducing the overhead of opening files repeatedly. Default value, 10. Configuration, PowerShell. Set SMB server configuration cached open limit 10. Registry, modify the value at hklm/system/ current control set /services /lam server /parameters /cached open limit. Durable handle v2, timeout in seconds. Description. This setting specifies the timeout period in seconds for durable handles. Durable handles allow clients to reconnect and resume operations after a disconnection. Default value, 180 seconds. Configuration, PowerShell. Set SMB server configuration, durable handle v2, timeout in seconds 180. Registry, modify the value at hklm/system/ current control set /services /lam server /parameters /durable handle v2, timeout in seconds. Max threads per queue. Description. This setting controls the maximum number of threads that can be queued for processing SMB requests. It helps manage server load and responsiveness. Default value, 20. Configuration, PowerShell. Set SMB server configuration max threads per queue 20. Registry, modify the value at hklm/system/ current control set /services /lam server /parameters /max threads per queue. SMB2 credits min. Description. This parameter sets the minimum number of credits that can be allocated to a client for SMB2.x connections. It helps manage concurrency and throughput. Default value, 512. Configuration, PowerShell. Set SMB server configuration, SMB2 credits min 512. Registry, modify the value at hklm/system/ current control set /services /lam server /parameters /SMB2 credits min. SMB2 credits max. Description. This setting defines the maximum number of credits that can be allocated to a client for SMB2.x connections. It is crucial for optimizing performance, especially over high latency networks. Default value, 8192. Configuration, PowerShell, PowerShell. Set, SMB server configuration, SMB2 credits max 8192. Registry, modify the value at HKLM /system /current control set /services /LAMN server /parameters /SMB2 credits max. Summary. To change these settings, you can either use PowerShell commands or directly modify the Windows registry. It is advisable to create a backup of the registry before making any changes to avoid potential issues. After making changes, a restart may be required for them to take effect, especially when modifying registry settings. Share, rewrite.
So as we can see here, this is a very technical description of each one of these settings. If you try to simplify it a little bit and go and ask Claude to explain it in more simpler terms, let's see what will be the answer. So now we can go and ask it and see how he will explain it in more simple terms. Okay, let me first try to select all of this and try to read out section.
I'd be happy to explain these SMB, server message block, protocol settings in simpler terms and how to configure them. SMB is a network file sharing protocol that allows computers to share files and printers over a network. To change these settings, you typically need to modify the system registry or use group policy settings on a Windows server. However, before making any changes, it's crucial to back up your system and consult with an IT professional, as incorrect modifications can affect system performance or stability. Now, let's break down each setting. Asynchronous credits equals 64 layman's terms. This controls how many simultaneous requests a client can send to the server without waiting for a response. Higher values can improve performance, but may use more server resources. Auto disconnect timeout equals 15 layman's terms. This is the time, in minutes, after which an inactive connection is automatically closed. It helps free up server resources when clients are idle. Cached open limit equals 10 layman's terms. This limits the number of files that can be kept open in the server's cache. A higher limit can improve performance, but uses more memory. Durable handle v2 timeout in seconds equals 180 layman's terms. This is how long, in seconds, the server will keep a file open after a client disconnects unexpectedly. It helps prevent data loss during short network interruptions. Max threads per queue equals 20 layman's terms. This sets the maximum number of simultaneous operations the server can process for each client. Higher values can improve performance for busy clients, but may reduce overall server responsiveness. SMB2 credits min equals 512 layman's terms. This is the minimum number of credits, permissions to send requests, a client starts with. Credits control how many requests a client can send at once. SMB2 credits max equals 8,192 layman's terms. This is the maximum number of credits a client can accumulate. More credits allow for more simultaneous requests, potentially improving performance. To change these settings, you would typically use the Windows Registry Editor or Group Policy Editor. However, the exact method can vary depending on your Windows version and whether it's a server or client system. Would you like me to provide more detailed instructions on how to modify these settings on a specific Windows version?
So now this is another answer, and we see it is more simplified. If we go and ask ChatGPT 4o to explain the same setting, I think this will be more easy. Let's see the answer.
Here's a simplified explanation of each of these SMB protocol settings and how to configure or change them. Herstellverkenstar 1, asynchronous credits equals 64, what it is. This setting controls the maximum number of asynchronous operations, like reading or writing files, that can be performed simultaneously on the network. In layman's terms, imagine you have multiple workers fetching files for you. This setting decides how many workers can work at the same time. How to change. You can modify this setting in the Windows Registry Editor. The default value is 64, but you can increase or decrease it depending on your network needs. 2. Auto disconnect timeout equals 15, what it is. This setting determines how long in minutes an idle network connection remains open before it's automatically disconnected. In layman's terms, if you haven't used the network for a while, this is the timer that decides when to hang up the phone. How to change. You can change this in the Windows registry under the appropriate SMB settings. The value is in minutes, and 15 minutes is the default. 3. Cached open limit equals 10. What it is. This setting limits the number of open files that can be cached on the client side to reduce the load on the server. In layman's terms, think of it as the number of file drawers you can keep open at the same time before you need to start closing some. How to change. This can also be adjusted in the Windows registry. The default value is 10, but you can change it based on performance needs. 4. Durable handle V2 timeout in seconds equals 180. What it is. This setting defines how long a file handle, a reference to an open file, is kept valid after a disconnection, allowing the connection to resume without issues. In layman's terms, if you temporarily lose your connection, this is how long the system will keep the door open for you to come back before it locks up. How to change. You can modify this setting in the registry. The time is set in seconds and 180 seconds. 3 minutes is the default. 5. Max threads per queue equals 20. What it is. This setting controls the maximum number of threads, smallest units of processing, that can handle requests in a queue. In layman's terms, imagine a queue of people waiting to be served. This setting determines how many servers you have available to help them at once. How to change. This can be adjusted in the Windows registry. The default is 20, but you might change this based on server performance and load. 6. SMB credits min equals 512. What it is. This is the minimum number of credits a client can request from the server for performing operations like file transfers. In layman's terms, it's like asking for a minimum number of tokens before playing games at an arcade. You need these credits to play. How to change. This setting can be adjusted in the Windows registry. The default is 512, but you can change it based on network performance needs. 7. SMB2 credits max equals 8 192s. What it is, this is the maximum number of credits a client can request from the server, which controls how many simultaneous operations can be performed. In layman's terms, just like the minimum credits, this is the maximum amount you can ask for to play more games at once. How to change. You can modify this setting in the registry as well. The default is 8 192, but it can be adjusted based on the needs of your environment. How to change these settings. To configure or change these settings, 1. Open the registry editor, press WinR, type regedit, and hit enter. Warning. Modifying the registry can affect your system if not done carefully. Always back up the registry before making changes. Navigate to the SMB settings. The path usually looks something like HK local machine, system, current control set services, landman server parameters for SMB server settings, or HK local machine, current control set services, landman workstation parameters for SMB client settings. 3. Find or create the keys. If the key you want to modify exists, double-click it to change its value. If it doesn't exist, you can create a new DWORD value. Right-click, choose New, DWORD 32-bit value, name it accordingly, and set the value. 4. Set the desired value. Enter the value in the dialog box that appears and click OK. 5. Restart the system. After making changes, you might need to restart your computer for them to take effect. If you're unsure about modifying these settings, it's always a good idea to consult with a system administrator or IT professional.
So the one thing here that's not correct, but I can give him some excuse because he is maybe considering that these settings are on a client side. He's saying that cached on a client side. So this is not correct because this is the cache on the server side. If you go and see Perplexity, which is the most accurate one of them, if you go and see the cache to open the maximum cache files repeatedly, I think this is on the server, not on the client, because we are talking about landman server, okay? So if this on the client side, this can be acceptable if this is on the client side. So if we need to see, for example, this setting from the client side, we can do like this, or we see like start and then run, and then we type rig edit, just to let you all see the setting, rig edit, and then we can take the whole okay, we can go further like that and take all of these, or take like this and try to get the parameters. Here we go, this is copy, and then we can go and type like that, and then try to change this is on the local machine, and then we can do like that, and then we can press enter. Here we can see this is the landman workstation. We can see this is the setting. I think they are not registered, or they are not there. If you try to see here, maybe we can see it from another side. Okay, network provider parameters. So it seems to be that these parameters are not set, so I need to create the keys as this was said here in the explanation, to make new D word. So we can, like for example, like this, right click and new D word 32-bit, and then we can create the value that we need. So we just delete it, okay, and then we can put the values as we need. So this is on the client side. As for the server, this is landman server. If we go like that, you can see the parameters. So again, we can see this is not also done, okay, on the LAN, but this is not a server, so this can be acceptable. So just to make sure to put the setting, or create the setting if it's not there. Okay, so we can see this is simply the answer of perplexity, then which is the most accurate one. Then Claude, I assume this is the second most accurate answer, and then the third one, which is ChatGPT, which is the least, or from my point of view, the least accurate one. But even though they are all giving us a correct answer, okay, except for the cache open limit. Okay, so let's see how we can see the setting, or how we can check the setting. Okay, so this is simply done with one single command. If we go to the perplexity, okay, we just, what we can see the registry setting, or we can tell him get SMB configuration. So this will give us all of the setting. I will show you all how we can do that. So let's first open my video. I have already recorded all of this, so let's open the recent one. I think this is one for the 132. So I think here, not get the computer logic, I think this is not the correct one. Maybe let me wait for a moment. I think this is 140, maybe. Just a moment. I think this is video 140 as I remember. Okay, that's it. So we can open like that, and then the name, I think, just wait for a moment. No, we can go to the SMB. So this is for, okay, so here it is. Just wait for a moment. So here, this is the SMB protocol, okay, and now I am trying to ask it to explain. We have seen the explanation of Claude, okay, very simple, and the explanation of perplexity. So we can pass this, okay, every one of these. So let's go further. So here, this is a very simple command to get configuration. This is how we can get all of the setting at once. Get SMB server configuration, and this one, select object, and then we can put all of the setting at once, spaces and commas, until and then press enter, so we can get all of the setting at once. If we need to change it, then we can tell him set SMB configuration, then the object that we need to set. So for example, here is if you need to change the auto disconnect timeout, then you can type set SMB configuration auto disconnect timeout 15 and change it as you wish, or change it from the registry, and we have seen that. So this is a very simple way to do that. So here if we see the test, here he have said, or he says that I am not following the default setting. If we open like that, let me show you all. So for example, here expected value is 64, and then he find this to 512, and here he say this is 0, but he found null. Okay, so he didn't find any value. Cached open, he says equal to 5, but the value is found 10. Okay, as for the durable handle v2 timeout in seconds, it's equal to 30, but here I have it 180. So these are all good. SMB version 1 protocol should be disabled, by the way. This is a less secure SMB protocol. SMB2 should be enabled, and I know there is SMB3 as well, but the most, I think, used one is SMB version 2. Maximum threads on queue is correct. Then we have the SMB credit min. We can see it's 512. It should be 128. And the maximum threads here, it should be 8192, and he found 2048. So very simple. You can set them in one command, or you can do like this. You can go and instead of get SMB configuration, you can tell him set SMB configuration and then put this setting you need, like Perplexity have said here. Okay, very simply can do that and change the setting as you wish, or change it from the registry. So we can now go and continue our things here. Let's go and see something here before. So now we have all of them changed, so we can go to the next one, but just I need to go further a little bit here. Okay, let me see. I need to one bit. Okay, so here the next test, which is to check the default SMB shares. So first he is focusing on the SMB configuration or the SMB setting. Now he's checking for the default shared folders, okay, on your domain controller. Why this step is important? Because we should make sure we have our sysvol folder shared and our net login folder shared. These are the two main things that should be shared, and if they are not shared properly, there will be problems in your network. And the next step, we will check the permissions on each one of these shared folders, because if the permissions also is not correct, you will see a lot of things or a lot of problems will happen. And there is also a couple of shares. These shares are called admin shares. Okay, admin shares, very simple. You can access through a domain. Okay, you can access any partition on any PC within the domain from the run prompt. So for example, if I need to access the C partition on a PC in my domain, I can just open the run, put the name of the PC / the partition, then $, and then press enter. This is how I can access the partition or any partition on this PC. Okay, but you need to be, or to have permissions to access these partitions. You should be the local administrator on this machine, or which is equivalent to, in a domain, the domain admin. So the domain admin is theoretically the local administrator on all of your PCs and servers. So you can access any partition remotely, okay, using the domain admin account, using or utilizing the admin share or the hidden admin share option, which is activated by default on all of your servers and workstations. So here checking for the remote admin share is available. This could be a good sign. Anyway, it's not related to the Active Directory, but He's checking the remote admin share and the remote IPC share. Anyway, so all of these are related to remote administration on partitions, okay, on the PC. So we need to focus on these two, okay. How we can know the shares? For example, there will be a script that you can get to know the SMB share or to know the default shares on your PC. There is two ways you can get it: through a GUI or graphical user interface, or through a PowerShell. This is very, very simple. If you can go like that and open a PowerShell command, okay, and then run as administrator, we can go simply and put like that. We can put get dash SMB shares, okay, SMB, and then we can type tab SMB. Okay, now we can get SMB share, then we can press enter. Now we can get all of the shares on my computer. So we can see I have a lot of folders share, then this is the admin share. We can see all of these three are related to the remote accessing of your partitions. Okay, so if you have a dollar sign before after the partition, then this is a hidden admin share. You can access all of these partitions remotely, okay, using your local administrator account or the domain admin account in a domain. In a worker group, you should use the remote local administrator account, okay, to access these partitions. Now we can see all of these. Here is the share name, okay, of the folder, or the share name of the shared folder. Then we can see the path of the folder, and then we can see a description, the remote admin. This is the remote admin related to remotely accessing the PCs. This is the default share, okay, and this all of the things, okay, related to the share. This is how you can get the shares. But about if you don't like the PowerShell, then you can type run and then type fsmg.mt.msc, then you can press OK. Now you can get all of the shares on your PC, the same as we can see here, and you can get a couple of additional information. This is the sessions, so you can see how much users are connected to your PC for accessing folders. This gives you the connections to your PC. You can disconnect any connection to your PC. For example, if you need to disconnect all of the connections to your PC for accessing certain folders, this can be done from the sessions section. As for open files, give you all of the remote open file, or all of the files that the remote users are accessing. You can simply disconnect any user from any file that are accessed remotely on your PC. So this is a very, very simple way to control the shared folders and accessing them on your PC. So this is the command. We will see later that we can get the permissions on these folders by adding another parameter to get the permissions, and we will see why it is important to do that. But anyway, this is how we can get the default SMB shares or the default shared folders on your domain controller. Here is focusing on the domain controller. So let's see how we can do that from or on our domain controller. First, I will get this command and try to use it, but actually it didn't work. Okay, so I try to ask ChatGPT 4o to give me a script to do that. So I have already taken the script, okay, and put it in the Windows PowerShell ISE, okay, and then put my domain controller in there. And by the way, we don't need a very complicated script to do that. We have seen that we can simply get all of the shares by issuing the get SMB share command from the PowerShell. So very, very simple. We don't need all of these. And actually there is a problem with this script because it didn't get only get the C partition, okay, or the remote admin or the admin share for the C. It didn't get all of the other things. I have C and D. So this is one default in my script. But anyway, we can see the result here is getting all of the folders and their names and their location. Okay, but I have C and D, so he had missed my D partition, so we do not rely on this script. You can simply get or tell him get SMB share, and then you can get all of the shares and their location. So this is very simple. You can do that in a very simple way without using this complicated script. But anyway, it's good to reach a certain result using different ways. Okay, so we can have a lot of ways to reach our result. Okay, so now we can see these are all of the shares. Okay, if we go and try to see the result, or if we see the report itself, if we go there and check the report, let me get to the result. Okay, if we go further down, okay, like that, let me go further. So here is the default SMB share. We can see the result. Okay, he is giving us the data. Okay, we can see each one of these folders. Okay, and a lot of data. Its share status, it's online. Okay, and we can see caching. There is no caching for this folder, and we can see a lot of useful data. For example, concurrent user limit. I think this is for the connection to the folder, so there is no limit for the concurrent user or concurrent corrections. Current users, for example, if anyone is connected to it, there is currently one user. Encrypted data false, scoped false. So you can see this is very detailed data concerning our shared folders. Okay, we can see here security descriptor. I think here this is the security groups that have access to this shared folder, but they are written in a different way, but this can be changed. But anyway, we can see that these are all useful data. Okay, we can get simple, as we say here, simple output like this one. Okay, so you can get this complicated output by using this command, even though I don't know why it didn't work on my domain controller. So we can go now and continue and see what we will do later. So here we are in good shape. All of our folders are there. We can see all of the folders are shared by default. Now we need to check the default SMB share permissions. Very simple. What we can do, we will just modify this thing. If we go to Claude, I have asked it already to give us or give me a certain command to do so. If we go there, and let me show you all what was the command itself. So here, just wait for a moment. Here it is. This is get SMB share. For each object, get SMB share access. So we can copy this and then go to our server or client and do that. So we can see here very detailed output. Now every one of these we can see this is the folder, the share name, the account, everyone. Okay, it's have read permission, and then we have local administrators full, okay, control, and read permission, or full permission and read permission. So we can see all of the setting here. We can see and for example, we can see that who can access the C partition is the local administrator, the backup operators, and a system user called interactive. Okay, so we can see very good thing. You can export it by, for example, doing like that. You can go and put the command, and then you can put like that. Sorry, I need to do something. If we do this, and then we can put let's see if we can do like that, and then we can, for example, make it format as table. So to make it more, I think it's already in a table, but let's see if this will do. So he is already putting the format in a table, so we don't need to do like that. But if you need to export it, Now we can go like that and tell him like this to make less than, or put D, for example, this is the location, and then you can put shares if you need to export that, shares.csv. So now it will be exported to a CSV file. This is very, very useful if you need to get all of your shared folders and their permissions in a text file. I need to export it, so we can do that. Now, if we go to my D partition, like this one, and then we type shares, okay, here you go, this is the shares, so we can see like this one, okay, and we can open it. So now we can see all of this. Anyway, it's not uh, in order, but you can see here is the folder. You can arrange it after that. Everyone, we have read permission, administrators full. So we can just arrange it in a little bit, or we can change this to our needs. So this is very, very simple. We can do that. So we don't need also to ask the AI tools to give us a script, because it's very, very simple, as we can see. So here I asked also ChatGPT 4o to give me a script to get the permissions. Okay, so as you see, it's more complicated than I thought, but this is you can, as we said, we can reach our result using different ways. So first we make CLS, and then we can put the script, and then we can run it. But before, we need to give him the as we can see here also, it's focusing on a couple of things here. On all of these shares are not the only ones. He is missing the D and a lot of things, so this is not also an accurate script. You can use the two commands that I give you: get SMB share, get SMB share access. This is the best way to do that. But just to show you all that we can get our to get the same result using different ways. Okay, so if you can go further, let me get a little bit here. So here we can, this is through the PowerShell. If we need to get this through the GUI, you can simply do that by putting this one. Okay, first we need to, because there is a problem, if you right click and then run, and then we need to get this one and then press OK. So now we can see, as I said before, we can see all of our shares, and then you can change the permissions from this console. Properties, we can see the share permissions. You can see authenticated users, administrators, everyone. So very, very simple way. Then if I try to see the other ones, this is for administrative purposes, which is mean this is for the remote access. Okay. Okay, for administrative purposes, remote IPC. So this is for the remote access of the partition. Okay. So simply we can see this is the admin share also. So all of this one $sign, all of these $signs, it is related to the remote accessing of the partitions, okay, of the PC or server. Okay, so now we can continue working with our findings. So if we go and open the report and continue to see the next test, okay, what is the next test? Is to make sure, okay, here you go, this is to make sure we have the sysvol folder shared using the DFS. Okay, this is a way to share the sysvol folder. Before that, there was an old system called FRS. I think DFS, this is a way or a protocol used to replicate the sysvol folder. Before that, there was something called FRS, or File Replication Service. Okay, I think this is a service, DFS, this is a service, okay? Distributed file system service. This is used to replicate sysvol folder, which is more secure, okay? So you can use it and it's not recommended to the FRS, okay? So so one thing here we need to, here is checking first of all that you have you are replicating using the DFS, and then you say if there is some errors related to the sysvol folder replication, and actually there is, okay, because I have my one of my domain controllers closed. So so this is normal, okay? Well, this is normally you can initialize a replication to make these errors disappear. So here is, I think, checking the sysvol. I think not only the sysvol. Let me see something here. It's checking the DFS. Let me see first. Here the report, and there if you go further, let's see this one. Okay, first of all, these are the SMB shares and these are the permissions, okay? And then if we go to the this vol, here provide health verification of sysvol DFS on a domain controller, okay? This is checking the sysvol replication, and I think here there is a couple of things. For example, replication should be normal. We have some errors concerning the replication of sysvol folder using DFS. And central reciprocity for GPO domain should be available. You should have a central group policy center store location. This is that we have it already. GPO count should match. I think why this is related to the DFS. Maybe because the sysvol folder contains the group policies, so he is replicating the group policies as well. Member reference should be true. DFS errors. Okay, this is correct. DFS local setting should be true. Domain system volume should be true. There is a couple of settings actually. I don't know if this can be explained. For example, if we take copy and ask Claude to explain this setting, let's see. Please explain these DFS. Just a moment, sorry. Stop. Okay. Control Z. Please explain these DFS setting using layman terms. So if you tell him like that, and I think this is not correct, maybe let's see if these are, yes, I think these are okay. Let's see if he can explain them. So let me see something here. Is saying that domain so okay, it's saying the setting, the domain controller is this, the domain is this. This is false. Search DFS service might not be running correctly. I think this is related to the replication. Replication stated in error, so indicates there is a problem with how files are copied between servers. Is a PDC. Okay, so this is to say that this is a domain controller or a primary domain controller. Group policy output. True group policies rules for computers are being applied successfully. Group policy count 12 are in effect. Sysvol count 12, so we can see that the group policy count in the domain of the group policy management console and sysvol folder are the same, so this is one of the things. okay, that should be matching, because if there is a problem with these two, then you will have some problems applying the group policy. Okay, so a true center store. Okay, I think here is not giving me the data that or I think this is not correct in some way. He is not giving me any data concerning these. Okay, so anyway, so what we need to know from this one, that the DFS or the sysvol replication is done using DFS, health verification of sysvol slash DFS. So it's checking the health of the sysvol folder and the replication using the DFS. Okay, so, or the service of DFS, actually, maybe this is the issue here. Saying that DFS should be healthy, replication should be normal. Okay, DFS errors or replication using DFS, what is okay, we can ask it a couple of things. I think what is DFS local setting should be true. Okay, let's see if we can ask perplexity, what is this? If we go like that and ask it, let's open a new thread, or let's me close it completely and open it, or open a new one like that, and perplexity AI. Okay, and then here you go, and then we can ask it like this one. Let's open the brochure, and then let's see this one. In the context of distributed file system in Windows Server, the setting typically refers to a configuration option that determines whether certain behaviors of DFS are enabled or disabled locally on the server. Okay. Replication management settings enable help managing fault tolerance. Okay, he's not giving us any references for his answer, so I think this is not maybe a correct answer. Anyway, I think here the test is giving us some links to see. Let me see what are the links. For example, if we can go to reference here, support broken sysvol, I think repairing, okay, fixing sysvol replication. I think all of these are related to replication of sysvol folder. Let me see one of them. Maybe we can get something related to the setting of the DFS, maybe. I think it's getting a lot of time here. One thing here, resuming DFS replication after 4 years. Maybe this is also, let's see this one. So if you go like that and see the answer, okay, here's, okay. I need to see some setting concerning the DFS, but it is not there. Let's see, resuming replication after 5 years. Let's see this one. Okay, it's not getting us any data concerning the DFS setting. Maybe we can get repairing broken DFS replication. Maybe this will be the one. I need to get some one of the settings. For example, what is the local or DFS local setting, and domain system volume should be true. So this couple of things I don't see, or I don't know why this setting should be done. Let's copy and see also perplexity if it can get an answer for this one. Let's see the replication here, repairing replication. So actually it's not getting anything actually. Okay, let's see here. Okay, again, actually, it's not getting any. I think this data also doesn't have any reference, so we cannot accept the answer. Okay, so I think here let's try to ask about DFS replication setting. So let's see. I think maybe this can be can be a little bit more. Anyway, it's already there, I think. Let's see how to get DFS configuration setting using PowerShell. So I think this is the command. But it didn't give us any. This is the service setting. I don't find in it something called DFS or DFS local setting should be true. I think this is, I don't know what it is exactly. If we try to, let's see if we try to search, for example, Copilot, maybe you can get something. Okay, DFS root. Anyway, I think we cannot get anything. So let's see this. Saying are essential object in the Active Directory domain services. I think this is maybe a correct answer. Okay. This object encapsulated of us setting, okay, specific to the computer. Okay, by default, for non-domain controller reside at specific relative directory path. What is the importance? Contains configuration setting details related to DFS replication on a certain server. Okay, troubleshooting. If you encounter issues with DFS replication, missing the DFS local setting should be a problem. Ensure that the object exists for relevant domain controllers. If it's missing, you need to demote and promote the affected domain controller again. For example, imagine you have two domain controllers, DC1 and DC2. DC1 has this setting and the other doesn't. To fix replication, you should investigate why DC lacks the object and take corrective actions. So I think here he is talking about uh, that this thing is available on the domain controller. I think he is talking about that one. Okay, so this is it. Should be true. Type domain controller not defined. Expected value true. So I think he is talking about this setting, if it is available or not. Domain volume. Let's see also. I think Copilot give me the answer. Let's see also this section and ask Copilot again. So now I think we should have this setting enabled to have our DFS replication working. Again, let's see the answer of Copilot. It's a critical component of the Active Directory as well, which represents the sysvol folder. So it's saying that is a critical component that plays a key role in domain control. Let's dive into what it represents. Sysvol. The term sysvol refers to so and so. The file includes group policies, scripts, and other essential data. The file replication service, which is the old one, DFS, replicates the content of the sysvol folder. Okay, as for the net login also, it is included within the sysvol folder. Clients access the content of sysvol folder tree through two shared folders, net login and sysvol. Rebuilding the sysvol tree. If you encounter issues with so and so, you need to rebuild it. Monitoring and prevention. Remember, maintaining a healthy sysvol is crucial for AD stability. Okay, so he's taking that this is a critical component that plays a key role in a domain. So the domain system volume contains the sysvol folder and the net login folder. So he's checking if this component is there. The domain system volume, which contains the sysvol folder or represents the sysvol folder and other things. So I think this is very, very clear now. Here he is trying to say to us that we should have a certain setting, okay, to be available in the Active Directory. DFS, if we go further like that one, so here is saying that we should have DFS local setting on our primary domain controller and secondary domain controller, so the DFS replication should happen because this contains the DFS replication setting, and this should be available because it is referring to the sysvol folder and the net login folder. So I think very, very simple thing. If we go and see the other things, sysvol subscription should be true, DFS auto recovery should be. So let's see also what is this. If we go like that and ask Copilot again. So these are all settings. It is related to the Active Directory. I think here is we can get a good answer. If we go there and see what is this one, he's saying that sysvol is an essential component in Active Directory when using distributed file system for sysvol replication. Okay, let's dive into it. Okay, DFS for sysvol. Okay, anyone, I know this, it's okay. Okay, so in modern AD environment, DFS replaces the older file replication service for replicating sysvol folder. CN equals sysvol subscription is a critical part of the process. Okay, what is this one? Here he is explaining that one. Represents the subscription of a domain controller to sysvol replication group. Okay, it ensures the domain controller receives update from other domain controllers via DFSR. So this is a very, very important thing. So he's saying that it represents subscription of a domain controller to this full replication group. So he should be a member of this group so he can replicate the sysvol folder. Okay, so this is very, very good thing. Troubleshooting missing CN sysvol subscription. If you encounter issues with sysvol replication, check if the CN sysvol subscription object exists. Use tools like ADSI edit to verify its persistence or its presence. If missing, consider authoritative synchronization using MSDFR options or other recovery methods. So now I can understand that he's checking a couple of things in the Active Directory. He's checking DFS local setting that contains DFS replication setting. He's checking the domain system volume which contains the sysvol folder or other things. Here is checking if the domain controller is a member of the sysvol replication group so he can replicate the sysvol folder. Then we can see the last option, which is DFS auto recovery. Let's see also this option as Copilot to give us also a little bit of an info concerning this option. So what seems to be also one of the options here is saying that dive to DFSR auto recovery, dirty shutdown recovery. DFS replication service maintains database with information about replicated folders Revert server shutdowns, power loss, if you have a power loss or electricity cut, can cause inconsistency between the database and the file system. This situation is called a dirty shutdown. Automatic recovery. Starting with Windows Server 2008, DFS are automatically recovers from dirty shutdowns. It ensures database sync with the file system. However, in Windows Server 2008 R2 and later, the default behavior requires manual user approval for recovery. Okay, changing the behavior to enable auto recovery, edit the registry value after installing hotfix, so and so. For Windows Server and later, consider enabling auto recovery for domain controllers. Okay, so I think here is a checking. Let's see if we have this one already enabled, DFSR auto recovery. So all of these are settings. Let's see. So we have, let me see this. It should be enabled, not stopped. Let's see the value. Not defined, expected value false. Should be enabled, not stopped. So here I think it is enabled. Okay, so here we have a lot of things. So we can see as a summary that he is checking the sysvol folder, a couple of things. For example, he is seeing or he is making sure that you have the sysvol folder on the domain system volume. Okay, and he's checking DFS health. If there is some errors relating the DFS replication, he's checking if the DFS setting or replication setting is available. He's checking if the DFS auto recovery option is enabled or not. He's checking if we have the domain controller as a member of the sysvol replication group so he can replicate the sysvol folder. So a lot of useful tests to make sure our replication process is done correctly. Okay, and he's checking also maybe the something related to the group policies in the sysvol folder. So he's checking one part of the sysvol folder, which is the group policy central store location. We all know that my group policy central store location, it is within the sysvol folder. So it's checking the group policies in the sysvol folder. First, this is the templates. So we have the templates in the sysvol folder, and it's checking the group policies count in the sysvol folder and relating it to the real group policy counts in the group policy management console. So I think this is very, very good thing. Now I think we can, let me see how much time we have. So I think we can stop at the NTDS parameters. So this is also related to the replication. So the NTDS parameters are the parameters that will tell us the domain controller replication partner and the replication setting, the intervals, and a lot of things. So NTDS parameters should be checked, and we see if these parameters are correct or not. So I will stop at this point, the NTDS parameters. I think let me first see where we have stopped. So I think we will stop at minute 18:20. Okay, and stop at the NTDS parameters. Hope this video informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.